Welcome to Three Player Co-op. I'm Sean and I'm here with Mark and Mike. So E3 is over. What did you lads think?
Well, you can't spell disappointment without E. And if you capitalise it and flip it around, it's a 3. So that pretty much sums up how I felt about the whole thing.
Holy crap, that's quite an elaborate way to say that. So you weren't that happy with it?
Yeah, that pretty much sums up my feelings. I mean, Microsoft just pushed Kinect so much and sports offerings that were only available in America. Sony were pushing their whole business idea and Nintendo could have won it very easily and didn't.
Yeah, I was really disappointed as well. That there's no good way to sum up the show without saying it was a bit crap. I mean, nothing stood out as being fantastic. I couldn't point anything and say, wow, that really made E3 worthwhile.
Only Watch Dogs, but that could have been unveiled anytime.
It could have. That's a fair point. Now, it was unveiled at E3, so it's fair to point to that. But, you know, I mean, I go reading up about it afterwards, and most of the comments about it are, now obviously it won't look this good on current generation consoles.
It does seem to be one of those that's next gen, and it kind of drills home the disappointment that nothing about the next gen was unveiled.
We kind of got a little sneak preview of the next gen. It was like they were sort of hinting at next year's E3 with that Final Fantasy tech demo and Watch Dogs. It's a strange one.
And they released the Unreal tech demo as well, which also looks amazing. And Nintendo, all they needed to do was say a price or availability, and they just decided against it.
Nintendo should have shown stuff that appealed to our nostalgia. It's so simple. They show a Zelda, a Mario, or a Metroid, and we're like, ooh. And they did show a Mario game.
Should have 7 of them.
They weren't that flashy though. They weren't the next Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for Nintendo to win in any meaningful way. And the reason I say that is because if they did what Sean was asking there, which for the record I would have loved, they get criticized from everywhere. You know, oh, Nintendo can only rely on Zelda and Mario. I mean, it seems like a cheap shot, but at the same time it's almost a fair assessment. I was open to the idea of Wii U being something great, you know, somewhat of a revolution, and it wasn't. It just let me down.
But the one title that could have won people over, they didn't show. This Project P100, I've harked on about it to anyone who listen, but it's by the makers of Bayonetta. It looks really unique, and they decided to hide it away and just announce it later. Nintendo had 3 chances to win at E3 because they did a pre-presentation, they did their main presentation where they, you know, kind of give a glimpse of 23 titles, and then they had their 3DS special presentation, and all of them were just meh.
Yeah, the whole Wii U thing with ports with fancy new features was really stupid. Like that Batman Armored Edition, the stuff looks cool. It would have looked much cooler in a new game.
Yeah, so what's becoming apparent to me is, from what both of you guys are saying, it strikes everyone as being a series of missed opportunities and disappointments.
When you consider this is Nintendo's first chance to show that we're not just playing catch-up, we're going to be a serious player in the next gen, and they kind of show off stuff that was fine for this edition, but will it match up then going down the line? And they could have said, Watch Dogs, it'll be on our system. They could have been the first ones to say, this is why you buy Wii U.
But they didn't. Moving on, Sony should have really shown off more Vita stuff. Mike, you were quite impressed by the whole PS Plus thing.
I wouldn't say it was the highlight of the show for me, but I was genuinely impressed with where they're going with PlayStation Plus. So I own a PS3 and a 360. I would say I do about 90% of my gaming on the Xbox. Like, the PlayStation's pretty much for exclusive titles. I took a look at what the offering in PlayStation Plus was and snapped it up straight away. I mean, if you look at it as like a good subscription or rental service, I think it is really, really fantastic, and it's probably going to change the way that I buy my games.
This is exactly what E3 should be about, especially with online stuff. I mean, they introduced a new thing and immediately rolled it out, and it was a bit of a game changer. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, so I mean, since its launch, the PlayStation Plus service, I suppose, has been about giving some free games or some discounted games, and they have dynamic themes or whatever. And I think Sony probably realized people like this, but if we were giving them newly released titles, like, I mean, Infamous 2 is out since what, maybe the end of last year, and that title is free now if you're on PlayStation Plus.
It's just a little unfortunate that it's something that's already been launched and they're just trying to get it more in people's minds at this stage. It's kind of a relaunch of something rather than something brand new that people were expecting from this.
But it convinced Mike and no doubt other people, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it was something that people weren't really looking to be announced.
Yeah, I think what we all look for as gamers is the big, exciting announcement at E3. And that's why I was saying, you know, something like this, while I really enjoyed it, it's not my standout moment of E3 because it's more of a, hey, we've changed PlayStation Plus. Now, I really like the change, but, it doesn't have that excitement that a brand new IP or a new piece of hardware would have.
Yeah, it just seemed like some of the major companies were looking at the entertainment aspect of E3 rather than the games themselves.
Yeah, and speaking of the entertainment side, what about Microsoft's press conference? Out.
Oh, sure, though.
That man can dance. And Dance Central 3 looks really good. But yeah, I mean, to Sean's point, Microsoft's press conference was really disappointing for me. I have Kinect now, and I said, in last week's episode, I was kind of hoping, maybe selfishly, for something really impressive from Kinect. We got nothing.
Well, you got loads of Kinect stuff, but nothing impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Microsoft partnering with Nike. I mean, who are their core demographic? Gamers. We're probably not the fitness freaks that Microsoft are hoping we are. And I just, as your standout announcement for E3, it felt like a bit of a slap in the face for gamers.
But you have a body, therefore you are an athlete. I'll remember that for London 2012 when I'm competing against Usain Bolt.
Yeah, it was all about stupid sound bites, like the power of Xbox and the magic of Kinect. And all of the trailers for the multi-format titles ended with exclusive DLC. And you just know it's going to be insubstantial crap.
You know what? It's actually worse than exclusive DLC. It's the DLC is going to be on our format first. That's the extent of it. PlayStation actually has some exclusive DLC. So Assassin's Creed 3 is getting, I think it's some crossover thing with the PS Vita, however good that's going to be. So by its very nature, that's exclusive. But, it's just Black Ops 2, get your maps first. Tomb Raider, get whatever crap they're releasing first. That's it.
So lads, what were your standout games for E3?
Watch Dogs, anyway, is looking like an excellent title. Project P100 as well. I liked Beyond Two Souls, even though I've never gotten to play Heavy Rain. I think it looks really interesting. And Ellen Page is the star. It's an interesting format to go with.
I played Heavy Rain and I would say I enjoyed it. I tried to do something different, but looking back on it, I don't know how great it was. It was different, but you're not really playing it. It's more of an interactive story. I'd say for me, game of show was, and this is incredibly mainstream, I would say Assassin's Creed 3. I think it looked really excellent. We got to see an extended amount of gameplay. It was a well put together game. It was really impressive. And I think it kind of ties into the fact that for me, the winner of E3 would be Ubisoft.
Yeah, considering they produced a title that could convince gamers that the Wii U might be something different and a bit more adult themed. They have Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed. They just had the titles that you wanted to play.
The game that really stood out for me, I must say, was The Last of Us. I loved seeing that gameplay footage. And this is no longer starring Ellen Page, mysteriously enough. It looks like Uncharted survival horror, and that is very cool.
Is it a bit too much Uncharted?
Yeah, so I went looking on YouTube for the game footage from this, the gameplay, and the amount of comments, related to, is this Uncharted 4? Nate looks different. Why is Uncharted a co-op game now? Etc. etc. I think whenever something shares the producers, and more than that, shares a game engine and a third-person perspective, these comparisons are going to be inevitable. That whole survival thing really appeals to me. I think it looks excellent.
It doesn't look like it pulls any punches anyway. There's some fairly graphic images and shots of it.
Yes, he did have that guy right in the ground, and he did shoot him in the face. I love that there isn't regenerating health. I've moaned and bitched about regenerating health before, but this doesn't have it. You need health packs, which also adds to the whole survival horror element. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of E3 in the comment section below. And from next week, the show will be continuing on in podcast form, so look out for a video showing you exactly how to get to that. And this is Sean, last survivor of 3-player co-op, signing off.